Hey everybody, it's the coach. This is Thursday Night Football on EA Sports. Coming up, we'll see third-year quarterback Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans as they match up with the great Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. I'll see you again at halftime as we preview some of the action coming up on Sunday. But for now, it's Thursday Night Football. And on the call, as always, it's Brandon Gaudin and Charles Davis.
This place first opened way back in 1957. We are inside legendary Lambeau Field here in Green Bay. No team means more to a city than the Packers to Green Bay, and this was the scene a few moments ago as the green and gold made their way out of the historic tunnel. They're ready to go as they get set to match up with the Houston Texans. Charles Davis alongside me, and I'm Brandon Gaudin. And, folks, the wait is over. Yes, it's just the preseason, but football is back in your living room.
And I'm excited. I know you are as well. The summer heat feels good on these old bones, especially because we're not putting on pads. We don't have to be out there in that heat running into other people. But I'm glad these guys are. Football is back.
Fairbairn now to kick this one away. And this will not be returnable. It's out of the back of the end zone for a touchback. The Packer offense led by number 12, Aaron Rodgers. And the Pack in an unfamiliar position this year. They have not made the playoffs for 2 years running. 6-9-1 a year ago. And now with a new head coach in Matt LaFleur, no guarantee certainly that they'll play meaningful football in January this year. Taken down. Whitney Merciless leading the surge there as he drops him for a loss of 6. That's called setting the tone right away.
It certainly is, and it lets you know just how important communication is amongst the offensive line. They talk about it all the time, knowing each other's moves. You've got to be coordinated and in sync. Otherwise, your quarterback gets hit.
It's a 7-yard gain that gets him back to the original line of scrimmage. 3rd and 10. Now it's Rodgers. The left side completion to Jones. And he'll get to the 29-yard line, brought down there.
There's an example of good situational football being played by a defense. They understood where the 3rd down play was, the down and distance, and made sure that they didn't get anywhere near that, bringing up 4th down.
Yeah, they were sniffing out that marker, didn't want to let him get close to there, and now a likely 3 and out to start.
Yeah, I love the way they rallied to the football and got to him and made sure they didn't give up much run after catch.
Watson will bring up the Texans here, 1st and 10, right at the 30. Play action from Miller. Now Watson. And the defense has it covered. It's intercepted. Picked off by Jair Alexander. Certainly not the cleanest of starts to this football game. Back-to-back plays yield turnovers in this first quarter.
So there's not much flow right now. A very choppy game. And I know this. It's a copycat league. We say it all the time about the NFL, but I'm not quite sure this is what they had in mind about something they wanted to emulate.
No, you don't want to emulate a turnover. The last run good for 2. Here's 2nd and 8. Throwing now is Rodgers. Open on the left side. This is Valdez Scantling. And he'll be brought down somewhat awkwardly here, and a late flag as well. I think this one's going to be a face mask. So they'll take the yardage and tack on 15 more for the face mask.
Talk about a play that absolutely costs you in the end. Just trying to do your job, right? Trying to get him on the ground. Next thing you know, they'll march off another 15 against your squad.
That's going to go as a loss of a yard, and it'll be second down. We've become so accustomed to it, you sort of take it for granted.
You really do, but he is so good that every team in his division every year is trying to make sure they draft people charged with trying to block J.J. Watt. So far, hasn't been too successful.
12 yards there and a first down.
They gave up the completion there, but this is what zone defenses count on. Catching the ball and not much run after the catch.
Give him a couple on the carry there. 2nd and 8. The defensive crew for the Texans. Here's a look.
Many times as we open a game, we talk about guys who are drafted in the first round, but how about the undrafted players? In this case, safety Tashawn Gibson, who's made the most of his time in the NFL, becoming a starter in the league, and since 2012 has 20 interceptions, the most for undrafted players in that time frame.
Throwing on 2nd and 8. Rodgers got a man open. It's Adams. Touchdown, Green Bay. From 8 yards out, and the Packers have taken the early lead. Well, that's about as quick of a passing touchdown as you'll ever see right there.
Everyone has a section in their playbook called the quick game. That was a super quick game. Out of the hands of the thrower, bam, right to the receiver, successfully for a touchdown.
How in-depth is that quick game part of the playbook?
It's pretty in-depth because people want the ball in the hands of the quarterback into the playmaker's hands downfield as fast as possible. There are a lot of plays, a lot of options involved with that.
And now out comes Houston. They had the interception last time. It led to the opening touchdown. So now 7-0 to score as they start 1st and 10. And he's going to be dropped following a pickup of 7 past the 30 to the 32.
A nice run here early on. It doesn't take a great play caller to realize you want to establish a guy of his caliber who runs like this early because they'll pay dividends as the game progresses.
They'll operate from the 32-yard line here, 2nd and 3. Lamar Miller. Oh, now Miller slow in getting up. He's still down on the ground. Definitely the last thing you want to see here in a preseason game. We'll be right back. This is Deontay Foreman, a man who missed nearly all of 2018. And he won't be close to a first down as he runs into a wall right around the line of scrimmage.
All right, quick observation, Brandon, because early on in this game, I'm seeing linebackers playing with their noses close to the line of scrimmage.
And my guess is the wheels are turning on that other sideline. As a play caller, you're filing that away right now, aren't you?
Yeah, you're trying to find that opportunity later on when you can play action them or stick something to them between the 2nd and the 3rd level.
They only needed a few inches, but still some anxious moments there, but they do convert on 4th. Thought they might throw the football with a little chunk that they had remaining on 4th down, but they ran it, they got it.
And the reason they were able to get it done, he ran that play with conviction, didn't he? Understood he would get a little bit of help from his friends up front, but it was really on him to go ahead and make the power move and get it done, and that he did.
Looking for more there on 1st down, but this throw downfield, incomplete.
But they certainly didn't waste any time throwing some deep passes here. For the defense, it wasn't unexpected. They told their secondary, be ready, you're going to be tested all night by this team.
It'll go as a loss of a yard, and it'll set up 3rd down. Plays like we just saw there, that's why they're up right now. And the defense, they're doing their job.
Yeah, it starts with the guys up front. So when you talk with GMs who are putting together a team, a lot of them say we're going to build from the inside out because if you control the line of scrimmage, you control the rest of the ball game, and that's what we're seeing here. They're actually playing in the offense's backfield, not necessarily just playing at the line of scrimmage.
And here comes throw number 1 for the backup QB. And that'll wind up incomplete. Bold play call there. Now it's 4th down. I know he wants to get his team back in the game, but a 50-50 ball right there that maybe was a little questionable.
Yeah, he's pretty lucky to get that one back. I think that sometimes these quarterbacks play with a lot of confidence that borders on arrogance, and that can put your team in some Dutch.
Yeah, especially maybe want to look at some safer routes after the interception he had that ended their last drive. Now, meanwhile, they go for it on 4th down, and my goodness, incomplete. A surprising move to go for it, and predictably, at least somewhat predictably, it doesn't pay off. And the Packers are going to get the football back in excellent field position. A throw left side to start the drive is complete. 10 yards on the pickup there, and it'll be 2nd down.
It is hard in zone coverage to stop a curl route because when they see it, they just try and find the open spot and sit down.
Yeah, we always talk about finding the soft spot in the zone. What's the key to doing that? How do you do it?
You have to read what the coverage is. Is it 2 deep? Is it 3 deep? Because then you know where the linebackers are going to drop, what spots on the field they naturally get to, and you find that open space, and then you're in sync with your quarterback. He should be reading the exact same thing, and they put the ball right on you.
11 yards and a Green Bay Packer 1st down.
As far as tight ends go, this guy's not a speed burner. He's much more of an inline blocking type of a tight end. But how about this last play? Made a nice catch and picked up the 1st down.
That's what impresses me about him. When he's called upon, usually gets it done. Another nice gain, 13 yards that time, and another 1st down. I don't know what this says about me, but I love successful runs up the middle when the blocking is so well executed. Like, he's got it. That's St. Brown, touchdown Packers. 4 yards on the touchdown grab. And the Packers add on to their lead. And all about timing there on that short slant, Charles.
Exactly right. That was timed up so well. The route, the throw, touchdown.
Crosby with the extra point, and it's now 14-0. And this will be a touchback as that sails over the inline. Out comes a Houston offense as they get set to take over here. Already down 2 touchdowns here in the 1st half. This becomes a pretty important drive, doesn't it?
It certainly does, and a lot of teams script plays. We know that, right? They have a script to start the ball game, and typically those scripts go between 12 and 24, 25 plays. Down 2 touchdowns early, probably not very deep into their script. I think that they'll stay with it. I don't think they'll abandon it just yet and try and generate some offense on this drive.
Anything, at least 3 points, get that 0 off the board. Tony Brown there on the tackle.
And that's one of the reasons you like to blitz even on rundowns. It confuses the blocking assignments. It doesn't allow those offensive linemen to get up to the 2nd level.
Now Foreman. Oh, and they had him stopped short of the 1st, but a penalty marker down. And that looked like a clear face mask to me. Well, we looked at each other right away. We knew that flag was coming out.
And I always enjoy the conversation post because officials always tell you, I don't want to throw the flag, but you caused the play. You did it. I had to.
And now it's 1st and 10. A big mistake, especially when you factor in the personal foul yardage. The throw over the middle taken in. 25 yards that time.
Well, coaches always talk about finding balance on offense. I don't think you get much more balance than this. Big-time run, big-time pass.
A 1-2 combination. Looked pretty good.
How about that? Let's see if they can continue to take that kind of a punch, though.
On 1st and 10, here's A.J. McCarron. And that'll be incomplete.
The one thing that I've liked defensively is that they've shown them a lot of different looks here in the 1st half. They've come after them. They've sat back. I think that's what you need to do to keep an offense guessing.
And they certainly have kept them on their toes. That's why they haven't had much success on the scoreboard. 2nd quarter action with 1:59 remaining. Coming up at the half, a reminder, we go back to Orlando to check in with Jonathan Coachman. He'll have a look back at our 1st half as well as a look ahead to what's coming up later this weekend. And he's got his tight end, that's Smith. And he's brought down after a very nice gain. They're able to convert on 3rd down, and that sets up a 1st and goal.
The goal for any offense versus his own defense, find the hole.
And he fights his way into the end zone for a Texans touchdown. It's the fullback taking it in. And the Texans draw a bit closer. And when the smaller guy can't power it across the goal line, Charles, sometimes you need to go with a fullback. They did. It worked.
What's that thing about force and mass? How's that?
Oh, yeah. Force equals mass times acceleration.
Oh, that's big-time stuff. That's from the same guy the apple dropped on his head, right?
So after the touchdown, here's Fairbairn now to kick it away. This is taken at his 4. And he'll take this one near the 25, call it the 26-yard line. And Green Bay getting ready to go as they take the field. Still more than a minute to go, so there is time if they want to mount something here.
Not only time, but they have 3 timeouts at their disposal as well, so that changes everything that you're doing here. Without those timeouts, you can only work the sidelines, hoping to get out of bounds. Here, the middle of the field is still available because you can call timeout and regroup.
Once again, they'll come up on the 26-yard line, 2nd and 10. Kaiser now. A throw caught by Kumaro. And they work this well upfield across the 45. That one a gain of 20 and a first down. Kaiser now 5 of 6. Very accurate since taking over. And he's got his guys a first down. And he's able to take it across midfield before going out of bounds.
And, partner, I think that's a great example that not all tight ends are created equal because everything was right. Got the completion, but he's not one of the more dynamic guys in the league. So even though he caught it, couldn't turn it into much more.
They try to throw on 2nd down, but this one is incomplete.
All right, that one fell incomplete there, but the best quarterbacks, they'll miss on 40% of their throws, somewhere in that neighborhood, similar to a great hitter in baseball who's going to fail 7 out of 10 times and still have a great year. In this case, you want perfection, but way better that it hits the ground instead of going to an opposite color jersey.
The Texans set to come onto the field. Well, what's the plan of attack here? Very late 2nd quarter, and look where the ball is.
Yeah, a bad spot for you. But the defense has all 3 timeouts. So what you're telling your team is ball security number 1. It's not all on the running backs if you decide to run the football. That offensive line has got to protect them and wedge out some space because you can't just kneel. They take 3 timeouts. They're going to get the ball back in good field position with a chance to put points on the board. You got to try and get a first down and run out this first half.
Another example right there how this defense really is winning the entire game at the point of attack.
Yeah, right there at the line of scrimmage because they are dominating it. It allows their interior guys to get upfield and spill into the backfield. So how are you going to combat that? You know, if you bring in your tight end, keep him in, your running backs, they have to step forward. Bottom line, your offensive line has to block them first to give yourself a chance.
Get ready.
McCarron on first down. Steps away. And he's going to be brought down. Back at his own 6-yard line. The Texans going to signal for their 3rd and final timeout as they'll stop the clock with 12 seconds to go in this first half. That huge loss on the sack makes this job much more difficult. It's now 2nd down and 22 yards to go. McCarron now to throw. And now they'll take a timeout defensively. After the 2nd down play, they burn the timeout, making them sweat out the final few ticks here in the 2nd quarter. After the sack, they'll come up now 3rd and long.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see them run the ball here just to try and get some space.
A.J. McCarron looking to throw. And this will be incomplete. 1 second left to go. The Texans send the punter out as he's on to punt for the first time tonight. So we have reached halftime in our first preseason matchup of the year as we send you down to Orlando where Jonathan Coachman has our EA Sports halftime report. Coach.
All right, Brandon, thanks very much. We'll get back to you and Charles in just a moment. But first, let's give everybody a look at what's coming up this weekend in the NFL. In our game, most of the starters have made their cameo and departed, but plenty of youngsters out there with a lot to gain or lose. as we get you right back out to Brandon God.
Okay, Coach. Appreciate it. A one-touchdown game here as we get set to resume play in the second half. And not a bad return here. He gets it out to the 25-yard line. And back out onto the field comes the Packers defense. And their coverage in this one has been great. Very, very tight. There just hasn't been much room to breathe on the other side of the football.
And one of the hardest things for college quarterbacks to adjust to when they move to the NFL is how small the windows are to throw the ball. But guess what? Those windows have been closed in this game. Hard to fit it in anywhere.
Yeah, the rookies often say that. Rookie, veteran, though, in this one, with this defense, how they're playing, I don't know if it matters. They'll start the drive with a give to Foreman. And they'll get it up just short of the 45 at the 44. First play of the drive, a success, 19 yards. That one definitely helps as they try to push the ball down the field here, trailing early in the third quarter.
And even though they're trailing, not abandoning the running game. People may call it an adjustment. I think it's just much more sticking to what works for you and continuing to have faith in it. And the running game is starting to pay off.
And all this is taken in one-handed. What a catch. That one nearly 30 yards, 29 officially.
It's got to the point where we see guys like that make that type of a catch. Not fair goes through my brain. That size, that speed, and now they're acting like wide receivers too.
Yeah, tight end one-handed catches. They're kind of like wide receiver one-handed catches nowadays.
Just not right.
And now a throw on first down there, but it's incomplete. We have not seen a whole lot of wide-open receivers. Everything seemingly has been contested.
And that's another nice job there to force an incompletion. They've been very cohesive, knowing each other's moves all game long, and they've been on the spot just about every time.
And they've held them in check on the scoreboard. Call it about a gain of 3, and they'll be looking at a 3rd and 7 coming up.
Typically, we think it's the strong safeties that are better tacklers, especially closer to the line of scrimmage amidst traffic. But in this case, how about the free safety coming up and making the big-time play?
Now a 3rd down throw, but it misses the target, incomplete.
I know ultimately that feels like a good defensive play, but I know it's really not. They had a chance to keep points off the board. Now they have a chance to kick a field goal by missing that shot.
Yeah, especially at this spot in the field. He's got to be upset he couldn't come up with that INT. No one attempted or made more field goals than Fairbairn last year. He was 37 of 42.
And they were grateful for every one of those that put 3 points on the board. But I guarantee you, Bill O'Brien, the head coach, is thinking to himself, we need to use him a lot less in 2019. Let's make sure we score some more touchdowns.
Firing quickly here, and that's complete. And this one goes nowhere. Losing yardage back at the 22.
They threw the screen to the perimeter, but to no benefit at all. Tackled behind the line of scrimmage for a loss of yardage.
On second down, it's Williams. And he is met at the line of scrimmage, and he goes down right there. Now it looks like we'll get a timeout, and we will. We've got an injured Packer on the field. Definitely the last thing you want to see here in a preseason game. We'll be right back. Here's Kaiser. He'll get this one into the hands of Lewis. And this one will go to the 28-yard line. Just a 5-yard pickup, and it leads to 4th down.
One hallmark of good defenses is understanding the game, understanding positioning, and tackling immediately in the secondary after catches. I think we just saw that on display right there.
Got to him before he ever had a chance to think about turning it upfield. Nice job bringing that one back. 14 on the return. And the Texans will take over with a 1st and 10. Good starting field position for the Houston Texans here as they come up 1st and 10. They'll try and get the running game going with Jones. The tackle made there by Kyler Fackrell.
They tried a quick hitter inside, but that one was swallowed up because what they're hoping, this big defensive lineman will take the bait and move laterally and open up a crease that they can run through. Didn't happen on that play.
And the second wave of tacklers is going to get him as they stop him behind the line. Big play coming up. Here's 3rd and 10.
I would expect to see some pressure here. It's real easy to say this running game needs to be better, but the reality is they've been given little time to actually find a place to run the football. It's almost like the defense is there on the handoff.
A pickup of 24 on the third down conversion. So there on that play, offensively, they ran the crossing route. Defense was in zone coverage, so as a former DB, how tough is it to defend that?
It's really difficult because your natural inclination is to chase the receiver and maybe leave your zone. So you have to have discipline in order to talk to your other coverage guys and let him know that that receiver's crossing from your zone to the next zone. He's coming your way. Make sure you have him. And then when the ball is actually thrown, secure the tackle. When they're moving on crossing routes, if you miss a tackle, it usually results in a big play.
On 2nd and 11 now. McCarron, and brought down, but not before they're inside the 25. 12 yards there and a first down. And McCarron now, 5 straight completions here in this second half, 1st and 10. To throw is McCarron, buying time to his left. And the coverage terrific there as that's knocked down and incomplete.
And that's one he's got to be happy to have back. There wasn't a hole open in the zone.
You'd have to think on early downs like that first down there, need to be a little bit more careful.
Yeah, fortunately for him, got a couple more downs to play with.
Now left side, a completion to his tight end. And he's able to get it to the edge of the red zone at the 20-yard line. That throw good for only a couple. It brings up third down. Trying to get one more in here before the quarter breaks. Now here's McCarron on third. And that one not to be. It's incomplete. So they couldn't hook up as time is now run out on this third quarter of play. Back now at Lambeau. It's Texans football, but they trail here as we get started in the fourth quarter. The kick by Fairbairn is good. And the lead is down to 1 now at 14-13. So with that field goal, this one's now back within a field goal. Maybe not the ultimate result they wanted, but gets them that much closer.
This game is unfolding like a really good book, isn't it? Because I feel like there's a few more plot twists yet to be revealed before this one is over.
And he'll take this across the 25, couple extra yards, up to the 27-yard line. They'll run with a backup. This is Williams. And I think this defense knew what was coming as he is smothered behind the line. It's a loss of a yard there, and now second down.
Well, you had to punt on your first drive, and on the first play of the second drive, you end up going backwards. I would dare say they need something good to happen right here, right now.
Only 3 yards on the catch. It's third down. The Packers on third down. 0 for 3 to this point. They could use a conversion. This is 3rd and 8. They'll throw here. Kaiser. And he's going to go down. The Texans come at him and able to bring him to the ground. Man, he got in there so quickly, Charles. What could the offense have done to adjust and account for that?
But what you're hoping is that you figure out and you see and get a clue that maybe there's going to be some pressure coming at you, and you change the blocking schemes. Maybe you go to max protection. The biggest one is maybe you bring your running back in to try and keep you clean. But in that case, that didn't happen. 0 accountability, and a sack resulted.
And now out comes Houston. And after the field goal last time, we'll see what they can get here. At least they got points out of the last drive, Charles.
I never met an offensive coach that didn't want to drive to end with a kick. Most of them want to end with a PAT, right? In this case, a field goal, they'll take it way better than the alternative, which is a punt.
Yeah, but you met fan bases that wanted that. They weren't happy with that field goal.
I haven't met a fan base yet that wants to drive to end with a kick other than the extra point. That's it.
A second down pass play there, but it's incomplete.
Didn't have a receiver open downfield, and as it turned out, couldn't even find his outlet man because of the coverage. It was way too tight, unable to find anyone open.
McCarron from the gun on third, and almost picked off. I guess the good news for them now, it's 4th down. I guess they're in a situation now, fourth quarter, where they're forced to take some chances, but I don't know that that was the type of a chance you want to take.
And that one could very easily have been intercepted, and if it does get picked off, that could possibly seal this one.
They're going for it. It's McCarron. Looking left side, and he's got a man. It's Carter. And they're going to get this beyond the 40 before he's taken down. A big pickup there, 20 yards as they convert on fourth. Fourth down, trailing in the fourth quarter. They felt compelled to go for it, and they got it.
Well, I'd look down at my play sheet, and what I would find, plays have been successful throughout the game that have worked at the distance you need, and that's exactly what they got done.
Another nice gain. That's now 30 yards between those last two plays.
One thing you're hoping for when you run drag routes, you're able to hit a receiver in stride, and he can pick up a lot of yardage after the catch. But in this situation, the defense was effective, able to stop him before he could get a good head of steam going.
The catch and run going to wind up netting him 33 yards.
That could very well be a defining play in this game. A touchdown, that gives them the lead, and they took a major step towards getting there with that big play right there.
So after the big play, look at this, all the way down at the 15 now on 1st and 10. And he's going to go down. He's sacked back at the 24.
I know there'll be a little bit of criticism there because they went right back to the air after the huge pickup and ended up getting sacked. That's often a play that you make. You feel like you've got momentum on your side.
Unfortunately, the O-line failed to hold up. A crusher there as it's intercepted. Picked off at the 16. And a big turnover there as his guys will get the football back.
And that's a great example of ball skills right there, partner. You and I do a lot of games, and I can't tell you how many guys look to run with the football before they've intercepted it. So that's a nice job of focusing on the task at hand and coming away with the interception.
Up at the 29 now, they'll head to the line, 2nd and a yard. Under a heavy rush, and down he goes. Now the Texans will use one of their 2 remaining timeouts. That's going to be their second. They'll be left with one more plus the 2-minute warning, and we'll be back. This is 3rd and 2, maybe the biggest play in this football game. And that's complete to Lewis. And he's able to get it to the 33, good enough for a first down. The Texans going to signal for their 3rd and final timeout. So that will leave them with no timeouts left. Still plenty of time on the clock. We'll see how that affects things here in this 4th quarter. To throw, Kaiser. Wide open receiver, complete. And able to get this one across the 45 before he's brought down. Give him 15 there, and the Packers have a first. 4th quarter, 2 minutes on the clock in a tight 1-point game. So it's Packer football here as we welcome you back. And let's see what they've come up with offensively after having time to talk it over. On 1st down, Carson. And he's taken down at the 50 after a short gain of 2.
I like a guy who understands the situation. I also like a guy who you look at him and you say, that looks like a guy who knows the coach is going to say, guess what? You drop this one, you'll be carrying around the training facility for an entire week.
Maybe flashback to high school or college, carrying it around campus, right?
Maybe the old gauntlet drill, right? Anyone get the ball out while he's sitting in class and bring it back to the coach? He's in big trouble.
Charles, why didn't they just take the knee there?
You're asking the question that I'm asking as well, because we've seen a lot of football where coaches decide maybe they get a little greedy. I don't know if they're doing it for stats or for what reason. We've seen it happen in college. And how about in the NFL? The miracle of the Meadowlands. All they had to do was take a knee and the game was over. The Giants ran it one more time. Ball popped free. Philadelphia picks it up and wins the game.
What year was that?
1978. I think it was in November.
Well, going into the final play of this game, they knew that they needed some type of a miracle there at the very end, but they couldn't get it done. However, we were treated to really a spectacular affair.
Even though they didn't finish it off, you're exactly right. They took us down to the last play. We're still, you were wondering, could it happen? Possibly, even though we both knew it was a long shot.
That'll do it for us. For Charles Davis and all our hardworking crew, I'm Brandon Gaudin. You've been watching the NFL on EA Sports. For more, find us on Twitter at EA Madden NFL. The Packers are winners here as we say so long from Lambeau.